Howdy everyone, and welcome to another in-game review with NIN Holy234 here. Today I'm doing an in-game review of how to play the Panther 88, the tier 8 medium German, premium medium German tank, the Panther 88. The Panther 88 is a very fun tank to play if you know how to play it. And some people have found out that playing the Panther 88 can be very challenging at times because it's a medium tank, but it doesn't have enough speed to qualify as a medium tank. So most people will have to play it either as a heavy, maybe as a heavy, or maybe as a tank destroyer somehow by sitting back in the back and trying to snipe with it. So I thought I should do a review of the tank because that tank is one of the rare tanks in the game of World of Tanks, and most people don't know how to play the tank. And I have been playing the tank for a while now, and to be quite honest with you, I never liked the tank before until I bought it and I started playing it. I was in the same place with everyone else before I bought the tank, but when I bought the tank and I started playing the tank and I got used to it, I found out that the tank is very fun to play, but you would have to learn how to play it, and that's why I'm making today's review, so that I can help those out there who are trying to make a decision: should they buy the tank and play with it and try it out, or shouldn't they do that and maybe stick with another tank. Okay, so one thing about the Panther 88, as you guys can see right now, is that it like any other Panther tank, whether it's the Panther or the Panther 2, the Panther 88 looks very similar to the Panther and the Panther 2. Okay, with one major difference is that the Panther 88 has the 88mm gun on it, so it has the same gun that the Tiger has. And maybe the Tiger 2 as well. So one of the main good things about the Panther 88 is that it has a really powerful gun on it. I can penetrate an IS-3, which is one of the heaviest Soviet tier 8 tanks, from the front with my 88mm gun. I'm not saying you're going to be able to do it. I'm not saying that you can do that every single time you try to hit an IS-3 from the front, but I hit it before and it works so many times before. But it doesn't work 100% of the time. It depends. It depends on how you hit the IS-3 from the front. Okay, and it depends if you're using APCR or not. So the APCR is a premium ammo and it has higher penetration. So on a gun like the 88, you can pin an IS-3 from the front if you're using APCR and if you know where to hit the IS-3 from the front. So the gun is magnificent. I love the gun on the Panther 88. One other thing about the Panther 88 that's very useful in battles is the frontal armor. So the front it has frontal sloped armor, as you guys can see, and the sloped armor can help the Panther 88 in so many different ways when it comes to engaging other heavy enemy tanks, or when it comes to engaging other medium and light tanks at the same time. Like on numerous occasions, I always bounce shots with my frontal armor than with my side armor or my back armor. And one of the reasons why this is true is because the side armor on the Panther 88 and the rear armor as well are very weak, but the frontal armor is very nice. And the frontal armor has, because of the sloped armor on the frontal armor, it has a lot of chances of bouncing and ricocheting enemy shells right away. And the turret armor as well. Like if you guys can see the sloped armor on the hull, that is the armor that I was just referring to. The sloped armor on the hull is good, but the turret armor as well, it's sloped, okay, and it goes all the way on the turret. It goes from the sides and the back as well. So the sloped armor on the turret is very useful as well. We can go over the specs in a few minutes here, or a few seconds here, and I can show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. But right now I'm just trying to give you all an overview of how the tank looks like and the ways that you can use it effectively on the battlefield. I've been playing with the tank, with the Panther 88 tank for a few months now, and most of my crew on it are fully upgraded, like they are over 100%. And I have at least 3 crew skills on each one of the crew members. So I'm not saying that I have the best crew out there, but they are fully upgraded and they are fully skilled to be able to do an effective job on the battlefield. And I got my stripes as well on the gun a few weeks back. So with the stripes, I mean, that might be an indication that I might be one of the best players when it comes to Panther 88 in the game, because not that many people can get stripes on their tank gun unless they are very, very skilled using a specific tank. So in the Panther 88, it's one of the only tanks that I have with stripes on the gun, so I'm very proud of that. Okay, now let's get in more details about the detailed specifications for the tank. Okay, I'm gonna start with the firepower. The firepower on the Panther 88 is magnificent. I mean, according to me, in my opinion, when it comes to comparing the Panther 88 with other tier 8 tanks, whether they are heavy or mediums or lights even, or even if they're tank destroyers, the Panther 88 as a medium tank has good penetration. Okay, I can get an average penetration per shot of around 203, and that is just the minimum. Okay, that average penetration can go up if you try to upgrade different things on the tank. It doesn't, I mean, as a premium tank, it's fully upgraded already when it comes to the tank guns and everything. But what I'm saying is, like, when you upgrade your crew skills, okay, so if you upgrade the crew skills, I mean, that penetration can go up. The same thing, the average damage per shot. Okay, the minimum is 240. Okay, the maximum it can go for is 300. Okay, so yeah, I believe 300, maybe a little bit more. It depends on what you're hitting. Okay, if you're hitting a heavy tank, it might be lower because the heavy tanks have more armor. If you're hitting a light tank, then it can be higher because light tanks have no armor. The rate of fire is okay. I get to have, I mean, with my current skill level for every one of my crew members, I get to have around 5 seconds of reload between shells. So you get 5 seconds, which is not bad at all for a medium tank or even a heavy. I mean, usually a heavy tank would go from 10 seconds all the way up to 15 and maybe even 20, depending on what heavy tank you're using. And I'm not including derp guns. But for a tank like a Panther 88, for a medium tank, it's 5 seconds. Usually for other medium tanks, it can go up to 6 or even 7 or even more than that. But for my Panther, I can have 5 seconds, which can be very useful when you're engaging with multiple targets at the same time. The reload time, the minimum one is 5 seconds 82, which is, I get 5 seconds, 560. Yeah, 560. The reload time, the normal one is 582. The tire traverse speed is 3413. I wouldn't say it's the best out there, but for a medium tank it's okay. And the gun depression and elevation is great. All German tanks have good gun depression. So if you're a player who likes to camp and snipe from the back and you don't want to show your tank, the gun depression can be very useful. Okay, and the Panther 88 is a good tank for sniping. I love to snipe in that tank. I don't like to engage with it right away. I like to stay in the back and try to snipe and try to get much damage that way, because the Panther doesn't have the speed to be able to engage. Instead, it's better for you to just camp in the back and try to snipe with it, the same way that you would do in a heavy tank or a tank destroyer. The aiming time is good, around 2.34. The dispersion at 100 meters is okay. The average damage per minute is 2473, which is really nice. You can compare that same amount of average damage per minute with heavy tanks. Like, we can go right now and I can check other heavy tanks of the same tier and see how much average damage you would have. Let's go for we can go for the Russian tanks, because the Russian heavies are some of the best heavies in the game. And I use the IS-3. I mean, I love the IS-3. The IS-3 is one of the best heavy tanks to use in this game. And the average damage, you see the average damage here is 1759, and that is with the top gun on it. Okay, that is the average damage, 1759. My Panther 88 has over 2000. Make sense? So I get more damage in my Panther, technically speaking, than I would get in my IS-3. Okay, but here it might be the minimum damage. So you like right now, if we go to my IS-3, my average damage per minute is 2085. Okay, so 2085, which is not bad. Okay, but I get more damage in my Panther 88 than I would get in my IS-3. So that's a very good advantage for the Panther 88. Okay, so going back to the Panther 88, so when it comes to firepower, it's great. When it comes to survivability, that's amazing. Why? Because I get to have 1500 health points or hit points on my Panther 88. So it's the same amount of hit points that you would get on the IS-3 or even the KV4 or the KV5. So I mean, the hit points are great. And I love the hit points because that means that you can survive more on the battlefield, especially if you're riding along with other heavies on the battlefield. Because usually when I use my Panther, and if I have to rush, I would have to rush with the heavies because I wouldn't be able to rush with the mediums. I don't have the speed to be able to catch up with the mediums. So I always go with the heavies, and I try to use my Panther 88 in the most possible, in the best possible way, and with that many HP or hit points, I will be able to survive longer on the battlefield. The hull armor, like I said, it goes 85 from the front, 85 millimeters from the front, 85 millimeters of steel from the front, 50 on the sides, and 40 on the rear. So, like I said earlier in the video, or earlier in this review, the frontal armor is very, very thick. It goes 85. The turret armor, which is way more than the frontal armor, the turret armor from the front is 120, and from the side is 60, and from the rear is 60 as well. So you can say that the turret armor from the front is the most armored of all the other armor on the tank. So basically, that's another reason why you should snipe in this tank. If you ever get this tank, try to snipe in it. Don't rush in it, because if you try to snipe in it, probably you're gonna take cover, and when you take cover, your hull armor from the front is gonna be covered. The only thing that's gonna be showing is your turret armor from the front, and that turret armor has 120 millimeter of thick steel, so it's gonna be a little bit hard for enemy tanks to penetrate that armor from the front when it comes to the turret. One thing I don't like about the Panther is that the Panther is a big tank, okay, and that applies to all the other German tanks as well. Generally speaking, it doesn't have that low profile that you would need when you're trying to camp and snipe. It has a big profile. It's not hard for enemy tanks not to be able to recognize you right away, because I mean, anywhere you go, whether it's a Panther or a Mouse or whatever, you're gonna be recognized right away because the tank is big and you cannot hide it well. But that's maybe why they put too much armor for the turret, because whenever you try to camp anywhere, okay, the turret is gonna show up, okay, and if they try to hit you, you're gonna bounce, and that's a good thing. The mobility is not that good. I don't like the mobility at all, because like I said before, the top speed on the tank is 46. Okay, 46 for a medium tank is not that good. 46 kilometers an hour, and the reverse speed is around 20, which is not that good either. But the engine power is 700, which means I can always move. Like if I stop completely and I start moving again, I can move up and accelerate right away without having to spend too much power, because my engine has 700 horsepower. So that's always good. So you always need the acceleration. So whenever I stop and I start moving again, it's not going to take me too long to speed up compared to other tanks. The traverse speed is good. I wouldn't say it's bad, but I mean, compared to other medium and light tanks, it's not that good. Concealment, on the other hand, is okay for a medium tank like the Panther 88, because when you're using a tank like this, you always, like I said, you always want to either engage with other heavies and rush with other heavies, or you want to snipe, and I always try to snipe, so concealment can be very, very important. Spotting, I mean, I wouldn't even go into spotting because you wouldn't be able to use the Panther 88 for spotting at all. Usually the best tanks for spotting are light tanks. Light tanks are great tanks when it comes to spotting because you have the speed and you have the ability to be able to move around and you be able to light up the other enemy tanks around the map. So spotting is okay for light tanks, but for the Panther 88 is not okay at all because you wouldn't be able to do it. Alright, so that's basically a general description of the tank and what it can do and how it can do it. Okay, let's try now to apply that in action in battle. Okay, so I'm gonna do a random battle over here and I'm gonna use my Panther 88 and we will see what's gonna happen. So one more thing about the tank that I like to say, like when it depends on how you use the tank, one major factor is the map that you play in, and probably like you guys can see, whenever you play the Panther 88, probably 80% of the time you're going to end up in tier 10s and tier 9s, like right now. So you always want to make sure that you use the tank to the best of its abilities, okay? And depending on the map, okay, the map can make a huge difference. Depending on the map, that will determine your ability to use the tank to the most efficient, with the most efficient way possible. I like to use city maps for my Panther 88 because I get to have more cover than if I'm playing on a plain field map or if I'm playing in a desert map. So city maps are the applicable or the best place to play tanks like these, like the Panther 88. So when the battle starts, I usually stay still for a bit, wait until everyone starts moving so I can see where everyone is going. And usually I will try to stick with the heavies, or sometimes I try to stick with the lights or the mediums if they need more support. Okay, so the heavies are gonna go on the one line over here. So I'm gonna go stay with the heavies over there and see what I can do over there. So there's heavies going over there and there's tank destroyers as well. Okay, and they are pushing up. So my chance right here is to of surviving. Since I'm playing with the heavies on the heavy lane, my chances of surviving is to stay in the back and try to snipe. Okay, so I will never move up all the way up. Okay, instead I will try to take cover behind the heavies. Okay, and try to snipe this way. I will let the other heavies do the job of engaging with the enemy, and I will try to stay in the back and take shots and do a lot of damage that way. Because I mean, I don't have the same armor as the other heavies, but I have the firepower as other heavies. So if I do engage right away, my armor is not gonna hold up. But instead, if I try to stay in the back and take shots, then my firepower is gonna come into play. So right now I'm moving up, and our team is we only have 2 tanks on this front, 2 heavy tanks. So I'm not sure if we can hold up all those other heavies up, and I came in the wrong position. Okay, that AT-15 just blocked my way. Okay, one disadvantage when it comes to playing Panther, the Panther 88, is that when you end up facing tier 10s, it can be a little bit tricky. So you have to play it really carefully right now. Like right now, I'm trying to play it as careful as I can, because I have tier 10s facing me, and I'm not saying that I can penetrate all of them, but it can be very hard playing against tier 10s in a tier 8, especially if those tier 10s are tier 10 heavy tanks. So it might not be that easy to face tier 10 heavy tanks and penetrate or even destroy any of them. And I can see that our line over here is getting overrun. And I mean, I cannot advance, because if I do advance, I'm gonna get hit really bad. So I'm trying to wait for support, and then I'll be able to advance. So there's a tank destroyers up, and I got hit. I got hit really bad. especially from tank destroyers. It's not that easy. And I got hit again. So we will see what I'm gonna do. I only have 86 HP left. Trying to destroy those walls so I can have better view. See, I was able to penetrate the T11 from the front with my 88mm gun, so that's not bad. Okay, so I mean, I was able to penetrate a tier 10 from the front, and not just any tier 10, but the T110, which is a really good tank destroyers for tier 10s. The only problem I have right now is that I got hit really bad from the sides. Okay, as you guys can see, my side armor is penetrated over here, and my other side armor is penetrated. My turret armor has a scratch on it, but it's not penetrated yet, and my frontal hard armor is still fine. There is no penetrations on it, and there is no ricochets on it as well. Okay. But they got my engine, and my engine is really messed up right now, so I'm moving really slow. I'm trying to get behind that M1. Okay, here we go, and I was able to penetrate it for 218 damage. Okay, now it's time to go and defend the base, but I don't think we have enough tanks to do it. We will see what we can do. I only have 86 HP. You see, and that's a good thing, like I explained from before. The HP can help you out when you're facing tanks like this. Up, and I missed this one. It's not that easy to hit a light tank moving faster than you are. Up, and I get hit. But you guys get the idea. I mean, that wasn't my best game. Because I ended up with a bad team and high matchmaking. So, but I usually do better, way better than this. But it depends. Like, it depends on the map and it depends on the team. You have to be able to use your heads on how to play with the Panther 88 to the best that you can. Right, guys. So thank you guys for watching. Please remember to watch, rate, and subscribe. And until next time, and for the win, everyone.